I was driving alone down a lonely road in Patagonia, a land named after an indigenous tribe you would supposedly spot by their disproportionately large feet, when I suddenly saw a strange shape to one side of the road. I slowed down instinctively and was amazed when I saw a lock of blonde hair poking out from under a blanket that seemed to conceal a person. I stopped the car, and when I got out, I saw something astonishing. All the way out there in the middle of the plain, hundreds of miles from the nearest town, and without so much as a single house, a single tree or fence post in sight, a boy was sleeping peacefully without a care in the world. What I wrongly taken for a blanket was in fact a long blue tape with epaulets and a purple lining. You could just glimpse with a pair of white trousers like George Purse emerging from underneath it, tucked into boots of shining black leather. The whole thing gave the boy a princely sort of air that was out of place around those parts. A straw-colored scarf fluttering nonchalantly in the spring breeze, blended sometimes with his hair, giving him a melancholic, dreamy look. I stood there for a while, baffled by what seemed a completely mystery. It was as though even the wind, as it swept down in the great gusting dust clouds from the mountain, had strutted politely around him. I understood straight away that I couldn't leave him there, asleep and defenselessly in that solitary place and without food or water. Even though nothing about his appearance was frightening in the least, there was a certain resistance I had to overcome before approaching the stranger. With some difficulty I gathered him up in my arms and laid him down in the passenger seat. The fact that he hadn't woken up seemed so odd that for a moment I feared he might be dead. A weak yet constant pulse proved he wasn't. As I placed his limp hand back on the seat, I thought that if I hadn't seen so many images of winged creatures, I might have believed I was in the presence of an angel come down to earth. I soon realized the boy was exhausted, at the end of his strength. Back on the road, I spent a long while thinking about how all those warnings designed to protect us as adults in fact distance us so much from others that touching someone or even looking them in the eye has us uncomfortable and anxious. "I'm thirsty," the boy said suddenly, and I jumped because I'd almost forgotten he was there. Even though he had spoken very softly, the sound of his voice was clear as the water he was asking for. On long journeys like that one, which could last up to 3 days, I always packed drinks and something to eat in the car, so that I didn't have to stop other than to fill up with petrol. I gave him a bottle, a plastic cup, and a beef and tomato sandwich wrapped in foil. He ate and drank without saying a word. Meanwhile, my head was starting to teem with questions. Where are you from? How did you get there? What are you doing lying by the road like that? Do you have a family? Where are they? And so on and so forth. Considering my anxious nature and that I am always brimming with curiosity and the wish to help, I am still amazed I was able to stay quiet for those 10 endless minutes while I waited for the boy to get his strength back. He, on the other hand, tucked into his meal like it was the most normal thing in the world. After lying abandoned in the middle of the road, desert-like plains, for someone to appear out of the blue and offer him a drink and a beef and tomato sandwich. "Thank you," he said as he finished, before leaning back against the window, as though that word was enough to answer all my doubts. A moment later, I realized I hadn't even asked him where he was heading. As I found him on the right-hand side of the road, I had taken it for granted that he was traveling south. But in fact, it was much more likely he was trying to get to the capital, which lay to the north. It is strange how easily we assume that others must be going in the same direction as us. When I looked over at him, it was too late. Other dreams had come and carried him a long way off.